Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So we start with Monovyakya, that's how we do it. So what do you want to do? You want to follow me or that's just another week or so, then we'll Monovyakya prakatita parabrahma tattvam yuvanam. Monovyakya prakatita parabrahma tattvam yuvanam. Varshistante vasat rishiganairaavritam manishtai. Varshistante vasat rishiganairaavritam brahmanishtai. Acharyendram karakalita chinmudram anandarupam. Acharyendram karakalita chinmudram anandarupam. Swatma ramam mudita vadanam Dakshinamurtimide. Swatma ramam mudita vadanam Dakshinamurtimide. Vatavitapi samipe bhumi bhage nishannam. Vatavitapi samipe bhumi bhage nishannam. Sakala muni jananam jnana dataram arat. Sakala muni jananam jnanam dataram arat. Tribhuvana gurumisham dakshinamurti devam. Tribhuvana gurumisham dakshinamurti devam. Janana marana dukkha cheda daksham namami. Janana marana dukkha cheda daksham namami. Chitram vataturor mule vriddha shishya gurur yuva. Chitram vataturor mule vriddha shishya gurur yuva. Gurostu maunam vyakhyanam Shishyastu chinna samshaya. Gurostu maunam vyakhyanam Shishyastu chinna samshaya. Nidhaye sarva vityanam bhishaje bhavaroginam. Nidhaye sarva vityanam bhishaje bhavaroginam. Gurave sarva lokanam dakshinamurtaye namaha. Gurave sarva lokanam dakshinamurtaye namaha. Om namah pranavarthaya shuddha jnanaikamurtaye. Om namah pranavarthaya shuddha jnanaikamurtaye. Nirmalaya prashantaya dakshinamurtaye namaha. Nirmalaya prashantaya dakshinamurtaye namaha. Om Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam. Om Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam. Pashyanatmani Mayaya Bahirivodbhutam Yatha Nidraya. Pashyanatmani Mayaya Bahirivodbhutam Yatha Nidraya. Yas sakshat kurute prabodha samaye Swatmanam evadvayam. Yas sakshat kurute prabodha samaye Swatmanam evadvayam. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Bijasyantarivangkuro jagadidam prang nirvikalpam punaha. Bijasyantarivangkuro jagadidam prang nirvikalpam punaha. Maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitrya chitrikritam. Maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitrya chitrikritam. Maya viva vichrambayatyapi maha yogi vayasvechaya. Maya viva vichrambayatyapi maha yogi vayasvechaya. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namah. Shri Dakshinamurtaye Yasyaiva Spuranam Sadatmakam Asatkalparthakam Bhasate. Yasyaiva Spuranam Sadatmakam Asatkalparthakam Bhasate. Sakshat Tattvamasiti Veda Vachasa Yo Bodhayatyashritan. Sakshat Tattvamasiti Veda Vachasa Yo Bodhayatyashritan. Yat Sakshat Karanat Bhavenna Punaravrittir Bhavambho Nidhau. Yat Sakshat Karanat Bhavenna Vrittir Bhavambho Nidhau. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Nana Chidra Ghatoddarastita Mahadeepa Prabhabhaswaram. Nana Chidra Ghatoddarastita Deepa Prabhabhaswaram. Jnanam yasya tu chakshuradi karanadvara bahispandate. Jnanam yasya tu chakshuradi karanadvara bahispandate. Janamiti tameva bhantam anubhatye samastam jagat. Janamiti tameva bhantam anubhatye samastam jagat. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Deham pranamapindriyanyapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu. Deham pranamapindriyanyapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu. Stri balanda jadopamastuhamiti bhranta bhrisham vadinaha. Stri balanda jadopamastuhamiti bhranta bhrisham vadinaha. Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpita Mahavyamoha Samharine. Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpita Mahavyamoha Samharine. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Shri Dakshinamurtaye. So if possible, as I mentioned to you, it would really help in your study if you go over the previous classes' verses and even try to remember some of the gist of what the verses were saying. So in the last class, the gist of what we were saying was that just like in the case of the sun, we have a single source of all light in the whole universe, in our universe. There are other suns in other universes, I mean the other galaxies, but in our galaxy, really there is a single source of light. And the light itself can be, it's lighted up by the rays of the sun. Amshumali iva means that the sun has this amazing ability to send out the rays to wherever it needs to light up. So this is an interesting concept because we're going to build on it today. The rays of the sun. The rays of the sun. And the rays of the sun can be specific to a situation. Right? So for example, this is an amazing creation of Ishvara where half of the world doesn't get the rays. What it's amazing how this whole thing has come about. The one half is sleeping and the other half is active, all because of the rays of the sun. And so my son and family, for example, they all have busy lives, and so they want to get as much sleep as possible. They don't have enough time to sleep. There's so much going on with kids and jobs and so on and so forth. So he's very conscious of the fact that he wants to sleep as much as possible in the day, during the morning, so that you don't get up at 4 o'clock, And so when he comes to our home, he says, "Mom and Dad, what are you doing? You don't have any drapes that are very thick." So we say, "What are you talking about?" And then my wife is just the opposite. She doesn't want, even when we go to a hotel or something where you have a lot of light outside, sometimes there's stuff going on and so on. So I want to just have some heavy drapes. And she says, no, you need to have, I feel very claustrophobic. I cannot have this very dark. Even when she's asleep, she doesn't want to have this. And my son is just the opposite. He gets up in the morning, he says, "What are you doing? This is too much light, they'll wake you up. Put this away." So we said, we don't need it. We want to get up early in the morning. So it's interesting that the rays of the sun wake you up and starts the activity. So wake up, get up, get up. It's hard to sleep in the... Actually, people do take a nap in the afternoon. I shouldn't say that. That's kind of... Even I do it from time to time. But when you cannot tolerate all the activity and your head drops and so on. But generally speaking, the darkness... So what I'm saying is that the rays of the sun may be modulated to the specific situation, like half of the world is asleep and the other half is awake and so on. And so in that sense, the presence of the sun may be different, but the source of the light is all the same. There may be some modulation. That's a different thing altogether. In fact, that's how the whole creation is, that even though the jnanam is the same, but the vrittis of the jnanam are all different depending upon the people. But the jnanam, the knowledge, the awareness is all the same. So this is what these verses were saying, that the essence of awareness all comes from Brahman, Ishvara. And so there, as you saw, that the summarization was, this was the answer to Sarvatmatvam Kim. How can you say that the Ishvara is the Atma of everyone? That's just like saying that all the light comes from the sun. It should be obvious to us. It's not that difficult to see. And yet we just don't, we are so captured by differences. So we are such a product of our erroneous way of looking at it. We looks like everybody is slightly different. You have your own awareness, I have my awareness, and there's no awareness in between, as though you are the source of your awareness, I am the source of my awareness. No, it is not the way it is. And this needs to be contested. This way of the mind just saying, yeah, everybody's all different. It's no problem. And part of that is that there are differences between us, no doubt about it. But those differences have only from the modulation. But the source of the jnanam is all the same. Awareness is all the same. Ananda is also the same, as we will see as we progress forward. So this is what was pointed out in the last few verses. And there, another thing that we pointed out was in these verses that that the jnanam is swatasiddha, is self-existing. Self-existing. And so what that means is that it is not dependent on anything. So for instance, if you do the same analysis in terms of a proof, so the necessity for proof is present in our lives. So for example, you can say, how do you, was there a such and such person in the class? And you say, yes. Yeah, there was a person. How do you know? Hey, I saw him. So my seeing the person is the proof of the existence of the person in the class. In the class. Same thing is true for everything. So for example, when you see something anywhere, then you need a proof. You can even say, for example, that I can see. And or I cannot see. So here's this very interesting difference. I think we've talked about it elsewhere, and we will continue to make a distinction. Your ability to have eyes doesn't mean that you can see. In fact, and many times there are diseases where obviously from outside the eye seems to be okay. You can even do blink and all that kinds of thing, but you cannot see. You cannot see. And or you can even, you can go to a doctor and say that, doctor, I can't see anything. So he looks at it, he says, well, the chemistry looks all okay. Why, are you sure He says, no, I can't see anything. Or the same thing is, I cannot hear anything. So there is a difference between seeing, which is the very devata of seeing, which is your function of seeing, different from the chemistry of seeing. And this whole thing will also come another distinction when the Kriya Shakti is talked about in a minute. We'll go over that. So there also, I am seeing something. So what is the proof of that? That was how we were beginning. Let's go back to that. So the proof is that I can see. That is the proof. And there you can say, what is the proof that your eyes can see? So you want to go to the very source of it. What is the proof of the person being there? You say, my eyes, I saw. What is the proof that you can see? I can see because of my mind and so on and so forth. I am a certain awareness that I can see. Okay. What is the proof that you can see your mind and your awareness can see? And then you have to keep quiet. Why? Because if everything needs a proof, the world will not function. Will not function. Why? Because you say, my knowledge, my awareness, my knowledge is seeing things. The funny part is really that if you look at all the science, the very modern developed science, they have deep doubts about awareness. That awareness is, they say, where is the object? So this is a very important topic, that they don't see where the awareness is. And science has made up their own minds that if we cannot see something, then we don't accept it. Yeah, there's something funny going on about awareness and so on, but we cannot reproduce it, we cannot measure it.
We cannot see it, and therefore we cannot make any judgments with respect to that. Okay, fine. Don't make any judgments. You live your own life the way you want to do it. So the thing is that if our life depends upon proof, then we ask, don't you see that if you strictly adhere to this proof required for everything, you'll never be able to function in a life. So that is exactly what this is. Just look at it. So, verse number 23. This is exactly what it is saying on page 11 on this English translation. And let me take out the Hindi commentary also. So there, yeah. So page number 33. 31 and 33, it's divided into verse number 23a and b. Jnanam na chet swayam siddham jagat andham tamo bhavet. Okay, so we can even just look at the first part of that. And the second part of that, which will come a little bit later on, is that the same thing applies not only to Jnana Shakti but Kriya Shakti. This is something we have to really grapple our minds across. So we began in the last class, I think, not began, but I think we mentioned importantly in the last class that the very makeup of the universe is where the Swarupa of Ishvara is dispensed to every part of the creation. And what is the Swarupa of Ishvara? Satchitananda. Just like you say that the light of the whole universe comes from one source alone, which is the sun. Similarly, or you can say that the entire content of the world, just like all the contents of all the golden ornaments, is gold. So here also, the very content of the whole creation is Satchidananda. Same source, one person. So this goes to the Swarupa of the Paramatma, which goes dispensed to all the Swarupa of the Jivatma. Okay, so this is one thing. But then the interesting thing is that the Guna, the Shakti of all the Jivatmas also comes from the Shakti of Paramatma. So the Shakti of the gold. So there's a difference between, it's interesting, the two words are used sometimes, Swarupa and Swabhava. So these are two technical words. This is what is called Paribhashika Shabdaha. So Paribhashika Shabda means that they're technical words. Just like, for example, in the computer language, mouse and virus are technical words. This is called Paribhashika. So mouse, don't start thinking about a mouse. It has a different connotation whatsoever. Same thing with virus. And so it's interesting, mouse means that it's kind of like shaped like a mouse, but it is not like alive or anything like this. You just use it. If there was an alive mouse, you wouldn't touch it. Supposing you need a mouse for transacting the say, and you have to say, I'm sorry, This is the way you have to do it. You have to put your hand all on this live mouse, and this mouse is also saying, what is this guy doing? So it's not the traditional mouse, but you take some of the aspects of that. I don't know how it came about. Somebody must have said, in the beginning must have said, oh, this looks like a mouse. That's a very important technical word. BayArea's is the same way. So there, the Swarupa and Swabhava are paribhashika shabda and technical words. So the technical word means, Swarupa means one that you cannot have anything the Swarupa. What is the very of it? What is the very content of it? So in the case of the golden ornaments, the Swarupa of gold is the molecular structure of gold. Molecular structure. In fact, I was reading this very beautiful explanation. This is the first time I saw this, which caught my, just a slight diversion, on, you've all heard of Panchikaranam. You know the Panchikaranam which we saw in Tattva Bodha and other places, and also in Chandogya it is called Trivit Karanam. The recombination in three ways, pretty much the same. But the more popular one is the Panchikaranam. So in Panchikaranam, the basic sanmatras combine together with others to create the sthula avastha and so on. So here Swami Maheshwaraji pointed out something which I had not seen before. He said, if you look at the gold, that's how it set me off on this. If you look at gold, you cannot have a gold which is, I still don't know the exact structure of this, but apparently you can have a 28 karat gold. And then you can have a 24 karat gold, and then you have a 22 karat gold, and 18, and so on and so forth. Now, what I didn't know was that the 28 karat gold cannot be manipulated easily. You cannot make ornaments out of it. It is a very thin, very pure. You cannot do that. In fact, Swami Maheshwaraji says the only time you can use 28 karat gold is to, cover mithai with it. Work. And so, I don't know how they can, it must be so thin that it's not very, because mithai is only like a rupee or two. The gold is so expensive. But apparently you can, but that's all you can do. But if you wanted to make an ornament, then you have to mix it with non-gold. And the lower the quality of the gold, easier it is to make instruments out of it. Ornaments out of it, not instruments. I didn't know this. So therefore, what he said was that Ishvara needs to have Panchikaranam. Because the sattva guna means means that you are asleep, nothing is going on. You don't need panchikaranam for sleep or for samadhi. It is pure Satchidananda. But if you wanted to do some fun, some transactions and so on and so forth, then you need to mix it with Akasha, Vayu. Beautiful. What a great explanation. Anyway, that's on the side. So now going back to the technical definition of Swabhava and Swarupa. So the Swarupa is defined to be something which is the very content of the whole thing, the very basis of the whole thing, the adhisthana of the whole thing. Swabhava is the inherent guna of the Swarupa. So for example, in the case of the gold and the ornament, the gold has the ability to be shaped. The shape of the gold is the swabhava. But can you say that the gold must have a particular shape? No. No. It doesn't have to have it. So this is a Shakti the gold has. It can either appear as a form or it can be formless. But what is formless? Alone this rupa. Okay? So going back to our own lives and our content as a human being and so on, our Swarupa is the same as Ishvara's or Brahman's, Satchidananda, Swarupa. Our Swabhava is also borrowed from Ishvara. So we have certain Shaktis, we have certain Swabhavas. And you know what the two main Shaktis are, right? Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. And if you want to make a small distinction, Ichha Shakti. But generally speaking, we just talk about these two Shakti, Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. So the Jnana Shakti of the human being, which is given to all of the, and the Kriya Shakti also. In fact, interesting, it's going to come in a few verses. The distinctions of the types of jivas based on Kriya Shakti. They'll come in, I think, we're almost towards the end of this. Yeah, number 27. Jara yujo andajaivaścha svedajaha punaruktibihi. Number 27. So, there it is said is that your Kriya Shakti and Jnana Shakti may be different from jiva to jiva. All the human beings also are very similar in one level. Even there our Jnana Shakti are different. Some people are very sharp and intelligent, others are relatively dull, etc. And certainly from one level to another one, there's a big difference. Big difference. Your Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shaktis are very different. Where was I? I think I was driving. Was it today? I had so much driving today. So I was just driving, and there was this guy who had two dogs that he had on his leash. And so I was bored. I was kind of looking at them change. And it was a huge street. And in fact, right here, when I was turning left on Able Street, it's a very wide street. You know this as you turn left. And once the person crosses, you might as well shut off your engine. Then you can just wait. So I was kind of watching them. So they had these two dogs that he was walking with him. And these dogs, I was watching them. And so it's very possible that the person who has the dog, he was listening to some music and in his iPhone, or he was talking to someone and so on. These dogs were just with his 4 feet, just following. So their ability to think is severely limited. Perhaps what they can see is who's in front of me, if they have another dog, just some very minor things. But the Jnana Shakti is severely limited. So it's fascinating to see the difference between a human mind and a dog's mind. Anyways, that's behind the point. So the gunas, the Shaktis of the human beings, this is the thing to summarize, the Swarupa of beings, but also comes from Ishvara. There's only one source. Just like you have the ability of the sun to dispense with the rays at various places. So similarly, the the rays now have the ability to light up things. So now I want to, I probably take too much time in revising. So far it was the revision from last week. So if you recall, in the last class, I mentioned to you that there's something very interesting that I was clarified on when I was reading something. I think it was Panchadashi, Swami Meshananji Panchadashi. It really cleared a lot of my... And the doubt with the passage in the Kena Upanishad. Sure that Siddhananji must have tried to explain it. I must have tried to listen to him. But the doubt sometimes remains. It does. And this was a stumbling block for me all the time. It got clear. I don't want you to have the doubts, because if I have that, then I know that you also do the same stumbling block. So let's actually, I don't know, okay, good. And that's okay. I think I had perhaps even suggested that you, but so if you don't mind, I'll spend some time on this so that it's, and then reconnect it to where we are. So it's not as though I'm going on a complete tangent. This is an explanation of something in the Dakshinamurthi Stotram, also in the number 23 and 24, has to do with Swatasiddhatvam. It is the self-existing nature of the Atma. An important point as we think about it. So, in the beginning of the second chapter, Dvitiya Khanda of Kena Upanishad, there are 3 or 4 verses that I understood what they were saying, but I really didn't understand the full implication of it. So let me explain. So the very first verse says, difficult verses, not easy to understand. Yadi manyase. So here the teacher is telling the student. So the first chapter was talking about the Atma and Anatma and this, that, or the other, all of the Jnanam. Then, this is more of a Mananam Vakyam, or a Mananam chapter. So it begins with the first verse, which says, Yadi manyase dabhram eva api nunam tvam brahmano rupam. Yadasya tvam yadasya deveshu athanu mimams eva te mye viditam. Okay, so instead of just explaining every word and so on, I'll just go over the English translation, and which will say, so the teacher tells the student, and this is where I could not understand, why is he saying that? He says, if you think I know Brahman well, then you know very little. And in fact, you only know the expression of Brahman in Jivas and in Devas. It's kind of like saying that if you think you know the sun, you are really you're not looking at the sun, you're only looking at the reflection of the sun in various things. Something like that. Okay? So he says, therefore, you really don't know Brahman. Okay? You don't know Brahman. So I used to think, how is that possible? This guy is listening in the first chapter and he's very sincere and he says, yeah, I think I know it. It is testimony to your good teaching. I think I know Brahman. And after all that, it's not like saying that you were not listening to me and you were cut out many of the classes, you were too casual. You were a good student. But now one of the students in the class who really was very sincere and so on, then you say, by the way, do you know Brahman? He says, yes, I know Brahman very well. What? How is that possible? So the student says, I think the Brahman is known by me. And then in the second verse he says, Naham manye suvedeti nona vedeti vedacha yo nas tadveda tadveda nona vedeti vedacha. My dad, it reminds me of this. I'm sure that you all have these kinds of things where your dad would play games with you and so on. So he used to say, how much woodcutter would cut? A woodcut would cut as much wood as a woodcut would cut wood. And he used to make me say that as quickly as possible. So woodcut means a woodcutter. Just like a cooker is called a cook. How much wood would a woodcut cut? A woodcut would cut as much wood as a woodcut could, or cut, or something like that. So similarly here also, Naham manye suvedeti nona vedeti vedacha nonas ted veda tadveda nona vedeti vedacha. It reminded me of my dad teaching me this woodcut thing. Anyway, what the English translation of that is, I don't think that I know Brahman well. Not that I do not know Brahman. I know and I don't know. Amongst us, the one who knows the statement that I do not know and I know really knows Brahman. This is the answer. So then the whole teaching continues from here, number 3. Yasya matam tasya matam matam yasya na vedasaha avijñātam vijānatam vijñātam avijānatam. Now, having said that, so here's the situation. You and I are like the rays of the sun, modulated sun rays. Okay? And as such, we have a jnana shakti to know the things around us, which also comes from the sun, but doesn't matter, that's a separate thing. I have a feeling that I have the ability to know things. I remember some of the things in the past, I know what's going on right now, and I have the ability to think the future. I know some memories, I know some languages. This is what's called limited knowledge. I have some knowledge, alpa jnana. Now here, the teacher says, please know Brahman. So we say, okay, I think I have the ability to know things, and I will follow your instructions, and I will try to know Brahman. So this is like saying that rays of the sun want to see the sun. Not possible. That doesn't mean that it cannot see the sun in a particular way, but the way you think you want to see the sun, you cannot do it. So this is what is meant by, if you say that I am very well, It's like saying that I can see the sun. Like the saying, I think I can see the batteries. You can't see the batteries because that is the very source of who you are. You cannot see. So the best thing you can see is to see the sun. You should be able to understand that all that I see comes from the sun. That the source of all my knowledge is nothing but the sun. Similarly, it's so the self-existence of jnanam. So another thing, very interesting. Yeah, so I should make sure that you understand that. Just because you cannot see the sun, you cannot conclude that the sun is not there. You cannot conclude that. It's something very unique. Neither can it be seen, neither is it non-existent. So that means it is self-existent. You don't need to see it. But you need to see that everything that you see comes from the same source. And that source, which is the jnanam, is avinashi. It is not going to go away. It is in fact, so this is the Jivatma understanding that my nature is Paramatma. So the nature of Paramatma is that it is avinashi. Na udeti na astameti esha. In the Trikdrishya Viveka. It does not start. It cannot start for an ornament to see that the gold does not begin. It was always there in that example. And so you do see the very gold, the very source of it, but not as though you have a problem with the science. Science says that be scientific. Be scientific. You're not fit for anything. You cannot even pass matriculation. And he says, no, you cannot pass matriculation. So this is the issue. And if you take yourself, this is exactly, this is not a joke really. So you have all of these people who are doing particle research and so on and so forth, thinking that somehow the very source of the whole consciousness I can grasp. Then I can reproduce it and get a PhD and a big prize, Nobel Prize, that he found the very source of consciousness. It's good actually because it's you'll get a lot. I remember when I came here from India, I wanted to do PhD, which I didn't have enough ability to do it, but that was a different matter. I used to feel I think all the important PhDs have already been taken. There is nothing more left to be done. And so I don't know what I'm going to focus on. So that's good that the scientists will never run out of PhDs. They will keep, you come back after 200 years, they're still thinking about some kind of amazing strings that was never done before. And the person says, yep, PhD. Never going to happen. We already know it. So this is an important thing. So the important thing is, neither do you should feel that I know Brahman, neither should you feel I don't know Brahman. Because Brahman, you and also please don't doubt that it doesn't exist and your search. Quit your search. because the very end of the search is to understand that my misunderstanding, my goodness, that the very awareness that I am the searcher is the searched. So this was really clarified to me by Swami Maheshananji's words, where he said, neither, so really I didn't think about is, you cannot say that it is there, neither can you say it is not there. It's something which is a unique thing, which is not there in the whole creation, which doesn't need to be known. It needs to be known, but not in the way that you are searching for. It is self-existing. And the self-existence will get clarified by knowing that there is only one self-existing. Only one thing that does not need a proof. You know? So, for example, you can say, if a thing is there, this is the word proof in Sanskritam is called pramanam. Pramajanyam, pramanam. And so, the proof, you need a proof for all things other than the fact that you need a proofless thing, which is making proofs possible. And so this is what is captured here. He says, please see, telling the student that if you know Brahman very well, because that used to bother me. What is he saying? So I said, listen, what you're saying. Not say that I know it as an object in front of me, but I also know that I cannot say that it is. So the teacher, you got it. You got it. Came right from me. I was very happy about that. So now we may not have time to complete. So I mentioned that all one is Jnana Shakti, Gunam. The other one is Kriya Shakti, Kriya Gunam. And so we all have a twofold power. One is to know, to do some actions and so on. So all the arguments that we have been using so far were with respect to Jnanam. Look at this distinction. This is an important distinction. So far we were saying that just like the light of this whole world comes from the light of the sun, similarly the entire Jnana Shakti and even the Swarupa of the Jnanam, because Jnanam means knowledge, also has two aspects. One is Swarupa and one is Swabhava. Right? How so? This is interesting. How is it? Does it? Pure awareness. Pure awareness. Paragyanam means everything else is gone. But just think about it. I know doesn't go. Why doesn't it go? It doesn't go because it is not a guna. It is my swabhava. This is an important thing to see. It's not as though your ability to know things. This is a very important thing because, you look at the scientific problem on this. The scientific problem is, and this will also come in the Kriya in a minute, but I'm just going back to solidifying the Jnanam part of it. So the problem with the scientific way of looking at it, that first you develop the matter. your brain, and from there, then you feel that, like for example, supposing a person hits his head, like this concussion. All this is very much in the news about the football. There's so much, football is up to some huge problems. They just actually did in research. I was just reading it today that out of 112 footballers, 111 had severe brain injuries. Only one. Can you hit for that? It's a very big thing. Anyway, so the science that the jnanam, ability to think, is actually kriya, is a jnana shakti. It's a swabhava. But they don't see the distinction between swabhava. They don't think that the jnanam is. So they only think that jnanam is swabhava. Not only that, once you only think it's swabhava, then all kinds of impurities in your thinking come in. One of them is that the swabhava is generated by your brain cells. And if for some reason you get bumped on the head and get a concussion, your brain cells have a problem and therefore you cannot think anymore. This is the cause and effect relationship. We say that the ability to know things may be associated with physical inform. We are not saying that it is only guna, it is swarupa, not just the opposite. It's only swarupa. I know. So when, for example, when you say that person dies, you feel that the person's ability to know and Satchidananda also is gone. This is not true. All that has happened is that there is connection between Satchidananda and this physical body and this Sukshma Sharira. And what you're looking at is the physical body. And you also have the ability to see it's working or not. This is, nope, no prana. The prana is dead. The prana is not dead. Physical body is dead. But the prana is not dead. It is just moved on to some other place. That's all that has happened. So therefore, the problem of not understanding the swarupa and the swabhava is at the crux of the problem. So in the case of jnanam, my understanding is through the Shastra that my swarupa is I know. So then we say that the guna of jnanam may indeed be interrupted. So for example, you say, this happens to all of us, that we cannot remember the names of the other day when we were talking about hypnosis. I couldn't remember the name. When Jugal pointed out, he says, hypnosis. And then I said, yes, that word didn't come to me. So as my brain cells become, older, my ability to know the guna, but my swarupa remains the same. It's a very interesting thing, really speaking, that as you grow older, you may be very true. Your gunas dissipate, but one thinks that if I grow old, I cannot study the self-knowledge, what is going to happen to me? Nothing is going to happen to you. You don't need memory, you don't need anything. You are what you are. Beautiful thing. And Swabhava are two important with respect to that. So this is with respect to jnanam. Now we move on to Shakti. The Shakti to know. verses, and it's very possible we may need to study more and so on. But let me give you the answer first. The answer that we have to really study. The is that the Kriya Shakti, like the Jnana Shakti, which is a Swabhava, comes from Ishvara. Just like that. There's no difference. There are two, Jnana and Kriya are exactly the same, two branches of the same. So what that means is that the Kriya may be modulated by you and I, but it inherently comes from Ishvara, just like the Jnana Shakti.
That's Swarup. आपने बोला
Swabhava, which is Shakti, comes from Ishvara. Modulated by Jiva. So modulated by the Jivas, the Shakti is modulated, but inherently. The Kriya Shakti is the same as the Swarupa of Jnana Shakti, which is Satchidananda. We will spend time on in the next few verses. So, this section on the Shakti starts with the second line of verse 23. Let's read it. It says, to Kriya. Nached as Kriya kachit vyavaharaha kat. Just slip Kriya. And the next is up to Samsari Vash Karshti Chani Shivo Brahmadi De Manushya Punar Ukramasho Nivritaya Brahmadi Arya Swaprakalpya Eva Kalpana Sakshat Krite Anavachinna Prakashe Paramatmani Jnan Mahato Iti Vedavak Upanishadam Staut Sarvatmakam. And finally, Ishvaro Atmeti Murti Bhumavadvya. Of course, is just a summary of all love. Starting with the second part, ending with Ishvaro Gururatmi, goes into Kriya Shakti and also ends with both of Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. So it switches over from Jnana to Kriya Shakti and then summarizes both of them, that they are really they are both two branches of the same tree. And ultimately that, so this is something I'm not sure, other texts some other time, but I think it's a good foundation of the thinking of Jnana Shakti. And so that yeah.
So the baseline we established earlier in the class today, where we said Surah is a C3 with
means that don't leave you. So if you the water, so the Swarupa of the water is H2O, right? So one aspect of the water is that it can have a shape of a lake, of another way to move into a lake. You 6 circles around itself. It also here in the case of anything, but it projects a lot of things, a lot of movement. So the Kriya Shakti, in fact, that's what is being, it's going to be talked about succinct or perhaps in detail. That Kriya and Jnanam are really two sides in the dream shapes. Not, so you can say the particular Jnanam because I saw a table.
Right.
Or you can see people move. So it comes from Atma alone. Yeah. Yeah.
Accurate to say knowing the Swarupa of the Brahman
Mm-hmm.
is knowing Brahman?
Yes, it is. Of course. So the Swarupa of Brahman, right? Knowing yourself in the sense that I don't need to know myself. See, I don't need to know myself because right now my feeling is that I need to know Brahman because I feel small in my life. And so your feeling of smallness is an indication that you don't know Brahman. But if you knew yourself to be, then you will not look at this, you would look at the Mahima.
So there's no need even to know Brahman.
There's need to know Brahman as long as you have a wrong impression about it.
Right.
Right.
Once you know the self as
Yeah,
being
then you don't, there's no kriya,
need
there's
to know
no,
Brahman.
there's no function, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You said that the consciousness is all pervading. So, is it different in a stone or a dead body compared to a human being?
So it's not any different. It's the only difference is that the stone and the dead body doesn't have sukshma sharira. So the reflection, so it's like saying something like this, where you have, so supposing there is sunlight, sun is shining, okay? And so let's say there is a mirror on the wall, and then there is a wall. And the sun is clearly visible in the mirror, but not visible on the wall. So you cannot say that the sun is not there, but the reflection of the sun is different depending on what you're looking at. So similarly, a dead body in that manner, or a stone, which does not reflect because it doesn't have the sukshma sharira. The Atma is not any different, it's all the same. So very much similar to that is the Swapnavastha. In the Swapnavastha, you have a stone. You're supposing you dream that you're sitting on this huge rock. And the rock is not
Swabhava. The Swabhava is the malleability, and because of this, then we get the form. Is it similar that my Swabhava then is jnana? As a result, then I've thoughts knowledgeable.
So they're similar to that. Your Swabhava is such so that their bhava language is like malleability. It could be that it is not in particular rely upon Swarupa, which is that I am. So even a young child can say I am. One particular thing that comes to Sabha. But the Swarupa that I am and I'm aware is the of the
Swabhava change, because Swabhava wouldn't change, but for me Swabhava would change then.
So the Swabhava of the Ishvara is the Hiranyagarbha. Means it is the ability to, yes, it's a combination of all Swabhavas. All Swabhavas are possible. But which of those are a given individual is different from that individual to individual. So in that sense, you might say that the ability of what to be in a form move is endemic to the water, but a particular wave that is enclosed in a small space may not have that ability to wave itself. So yeah, so the ability of the ocean to have movement, to create forms, is different. That's the Hiranyagarbha. But as far as the particular individual goes, that only takes a part of it depending on your karmas and so on. And so on.
The Swarupa and Swabhava distinction, can we view it as Paramarthik and Dristikun? Like Swarupa is Paramarthik Dristikun?
No, but not really. I mean, you can make some, but so the in a way, yes, the Swarupa means it is the ultimate that cannot change. So yeah, I think that you can say, you know, whereas Vyamarika Sat stems from the Swabhava, as he was about, from the, so that also you can say that is Paramarthika sense. But we wouldn't equate its, you can see the trend, but you cannot exactly equate those. So next class we will go into the Kriya Shakti a little bit more. And please review this lesson before you come so that we can straight away get into it. There's quite a few verses on the Kriya Shakti. And with that, our first verse will be pretty much over, and then we will, as we promised, kind of revise it in entity so that you get a good grasp of what Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari means. So then we can, and we can perhaps even do some meditations to
That would be appreciated.
yeah. He's a meditations guy. So we will, then we will close off the first verse. And